'cause I'd been working deep inside the big machine. Tried to find some honest answers in the television box, but nobody there would listen. They just talk, 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 until one night, quite by accident, I found, while remotely flipping channels all around, it was my friend from down the street, and he was sitting on a couch. He was playing his guitar, and he was letting it all hang out. And he sang, "You can do it too, you can do what I'm doing, you can put your message on community TV. Get yourself some public access, you won't hardly have to practice. Just believe in what you're saying and your creativity." Now, with all the foolishness that's going down today, there's lots of things that I've been meaning to say. There's only so long you can hold it in before you pop your cork. But we can't all be David Letterman and broadcast from New York. And so I went to see my guitar-playing neighbor, and I said, "What is this public access where you labor?" He said, "Here, you take this camera out and document your views. Give us footage when you're ready, you're on opposite the news." And then he sang, "You can do it too, you can do what I'm doing, you can put your message on community TV. Get yourself some public access, you won't hardly have to practice. Just have faith in what you're saying and your creativity." Oh well, I went and shot 3 pussycats, 2 paper boys, 1 mailman, and a woman walking to the park with their children and back, an older couple strolling, and a pack of rowdy boys. Then I mixed it all together with some slides and happy noise. Now, not everyone has cable, I know, so not everyone can see my picture show. But who knows, there might be one sad person all alone somewhere.
because you can only look for 10 seconds, so people aren't sharing.
So just head back and ask anybody.
On the lunar subscribe. Because the lunar is, that's what closing my eye. She said she's concerned about preserving Court Street memory. And that
Maybe, okay. And maybe we can have a philosophical discussion there. Bring this the alcohol and the groups and the
I guess they passed out.
What the song?
Any kind of marine reproduction is weird. You're either like shooting sperms into the water while girls are picking it up or whatever. Or eating your mate and doing all kinds of weird stuff. You know how the seahorses, right? They're like super dragons sometimes. They're sneak out. But they're like, they have like ribbons.
I got my tan line off. Got it off. It used to be.
The scariest thing about the ocean is Japanese spider crab.
Guessing he'll have fewer practice.
It's a crab
Yeah, maybe.
that looks like a spider that's 6 meters wide.
There's not. That's why he's not out at our house right now working on the
Probably go to Indianapolis. You might be able to go to...
Vinny, is that you?
Yeah, sure.
So when they separate practices like they did today, do you have to go to both?
One's only a half hour. Oh, it's actually getting much more. Yeah, it's about half an hour.
Now these are a little tricky to make. Just a moment.
Well, that's what I was feeling like this because I even have a hard time of just like.
It just looks like a normal sign.
You
Can't tell any difference. Yeah, same here. No, I remember when I was like in preschool and I got my sunglasses. I was like, oh, this should work. And I just stared at it.
And the B1 Lancer, this is a good story. So flying boom passes, first it did the supersonic boom pass with the anchor on it. So it came back. Yes, and then there was a paramotor. You know what those are?
What do you call that?
Sorry?
What do you call that?
Just a welder's helmet.
It's a what?
A helmet for welding.
Ah,
So
it's pretty handy.
they say it's very safe.
Okay. Have that up in front of you.
Okay, I'm still like super scared.
I think my daughter can do it.
Well, Sally's back from West Germany.
That's why.
They're on strike.
They're still on strike?
Well, the mines won't be. I mean, they're
Talking about Greyhound?
Sally there?
yeah.
Welcome back from West Germany, Sally. We've enjoyed seeing you all over Europe.
Now, Mom?
Let me help you, Sally.
Oh, thank you.
This is our tipping floor. This is where all the material comes in, whether it's the mix, which is the big pile, or cardboard over on the left side. So once it gets put into the building, it gets separated out, it gets put into bales, which you see stacked up here. So this is what we ship out.
Where does it go?
Huh?
Where does it
All
go?
over the place. So we primarily ship to within Ohio or neighboring states, depending on the material, depending on what mill or recycling center it goes to.
Where it's actually used. It's not going to China.
To my knowledge, none of our stuff goes to China.
Okay.
Now, once it changes hands a couple times, I can't be certain of that, but all the distributors and brokers that we work with, most of it stays local. Because we're in the Midwest market, the East Coast and West Coast are a lot more dependent on the China market, which has been very turbulent in recent days because of their Green Fence 2.0, banning some of the materials, specifically unsorted waste paper. Which has created a surplus and driven down the commodity prices in the U.S., which affects us. Now, of all the revenue that's generated, that we have I think it's about $3.2 million in operating revenue is what we bring in every year. 80 to 90% of that in a given year is from services rendered. The rest of it is from the sale of materials that you see here. So depending on the material, for instance, our 1 through 7 plastics, we ship out to a facility in Pennsylvania that helps further separate those plastics, grind them up, and get them ready for other manufacturing. So pellet form or flake form. So it depends on the material. A lot of our cardboard goes to Kentucky. A lot of our paper goes to Indiana. Aluminum and steel stay in the state. Zanesville and a couple other places in Ohio. It just depends on the material stream. So aluminum cans are easily recyclable. A lot of people recycle them. They usually get made back into aluminum cans. But paper can be, depending on the grade, can be made into egg cartons, paper-based insulation, or back into other paper products. So
You don't need to.
there's a lot of downstream jobs, connected to recycling. There's approximately 750,000 jobs in the recycling industry in the United States. We talk about jobs in different sectors. That's a lot. The statistics I've always heard is for every 1 job in solid waste, for the same tonnage, you can create 10 jobs in recycling. So the economics of that are pretty clear to us. You know, as we've grown over the past 3 or 4 or 5 years, you know, we went from 17 or 18 employees to 38 today. So that's administrators, myself, truck drivers, sorters, machine operators, the compost, the cooking oil. So it takes a lot of people to sort out these materials and get them shipped out. There's the downstream jobs, the transportation, the other recycling plants, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot to it, for sure. But let's take a walk up, and we'll walk up and we can kind of see the machinery, and it kind of you can see from your little flow chart there where materials go. Most of it's pretty apparent once you walk up there.
So it looks like you can leave lids on your soda cans. And
Yeah, it's actually preferable now to leave it on your pop bottles because it's more likely to be recovered. So people ask this question all the time. They say, well, 20 years ago they told me this. So I said, well, that's 20 years ago. You know, the market changes, the industry changes. Technology's played a large part in facilities like this with optical sorters and lasers and things like that that help separate out the different types of materials.
This place is awesome.
I wouldn't try to do that.
it's okay if we take pictures?
Yeah.
We gotta share this with Dad.
This is so awesome.
So there's a guy on a skid steer who normally sits here when we're operating, and he feeds that material with a gravel bucket onto the in-feed conveyors, kind of starts that process and gets it into the building. And they find a lot of stuff that people put in the recycling. We don't want in there. So around each different, there are 3 main sorting lines. Around each sorting line there's different stations, so everybody has sort of a different job depending on where they're at. The machine there behind us is a glass breaker. So all the material goes across that, but the glass breaker breaks the glass, falls down through the small holes, goes outside into its own bin.
But so everything's coming up though mixed.
Yes.
So is it crushing everything?
It doesn't crush it. There's little tines in there, almost like a tiller, and they're moving really fast and it busts the glass. Everything else just kind of rides across the top of it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So once that gets there, the glass is pulled out automatically, so we don't have to hand sort that. It comes down onto the first sorting line. So these yellow tubes up here are for the film plastic bags. So the vacuum kind of sucks them up and it goes into its own container to be baled up separately.
Truly, any plastic film, saran wrap.
Yes. I will say that again. So
Shag bark chip bags.
the things we want are number 2 and number 4 film plastic.
How do you know?
That's a difficult thing.
Are these all
So there are lots of different. What's that?
these all things you found?
That's all the things they found in the recycling. So a lot of things we don't want. I'll talk about like that. But the film plastic is a really difficult category. It's very low weight, very, very low value, really hard to market. It's easily contaminated with the other foodstuffs and stuff that are within the recycling. You put it in the back of a packer truck and it makes it less marketable. So that's a difficult item, and a lot of recycling centers don't take film plastic for that reason. They also tend to clog up in a lot of the machinery. Now we designed this facility to accept plastic bags and tried to get them out early on, but that's something as the industry changes, markets change, we have to adapt to that, whatever that is. In 5 years we may not take them, or if you can't sell it tomorrow, there's no reason to pick it out of there. You know, I really like to talk about what's important to recycle. The high value, easily recyclable materials. Don't focus on the really hard stuff all the time. Cardboard, aluminum cans, steel cans, things like that are easily recyclable, easily recoverable.
So Ziploc bags, got a plastic film that...
Yes, but usually a lot of it gets contaminated pretty easy. I can show you some bales of film plastic and you can kind of see up close what it looks like and why it would be hard to recycle. And there's so many different types of film plastic. It's not just there's a number 2 and number 4. There's different processes to make different films for different types of packaging, which affects their recyclability. Right. So I like to focus less on the stuff that's a little bit marginal like that and more on the stuff that's really high value, easily recoverable. So we're all the way up here. If you look down here, you can see the bin. So as the sorting comes through, they're pulling off stuff that's not recyclable that people put in there or is contaminated, and they're putting it in a bin there to your right, and it goes outside into its own container. And then down below, there's a bin for cardboard here. So they can, on both sides of the line, they can pick that up and drop it in. Just to our right, this conveyor leads to another screener. It's very similar to the glass breaker, but it's on an angle because it helps separate fiber, so paper products, from the containers. So the paper goes up, the containers fall down to a different conveyor and go down and further the process to the next sorting line.
Pizza box.
So as we go through, the paper goes on this sorting line. So we're further sorting that, refining it down to pulling off any cardboard that makes it. We're sorting the white office paper off, and then the rest goes as mixed. If there are any containers, they put them on the opposing conveyor, comes back this way to the container sorting line.
Is white office paper not recyclable?
It is, but it's higher value. It's a higher grade material, so we separate it out from the rest of the mixed paper.
So it's worth it, it's higher enough in value that it's worth it to pay someone to manually separate it out.
It's running around $150 a ton, whereas actually the mixed paper was at 68 and dropped down to 5 because of that China issue and that export issue.
Say that again, John, from what to
From
what?
68 a ton to $5.
That's what I thought you said. I had to process that. Oh, that's
It's a big drop.
Wait, did you find this?
It's hands-off things here. Because everything's grimy and there's probably other glass
Here's a little
shards.
rubber
Yeah, there's
ducky
glass
that
everywhere,
made
so
it
be careful
to
where you touch. There's some glass up on there. So this system's not perfect. It's not 100% at any given time. You know, it's equipment, machinery, and people. So each bin has a different material in it. So once it here, it should be mostly containers, but you get a lot of paper still in it. So we're having to pick whatever's residual off. And you can see all the plastics 1 through 7 here. So this is the kind of stuff we want. You know, cans and bottles. This is the high value plastic, and it's easily recoverable. So we have 2 bins for that. And then we have a bin for all the stuff that people put in there that we don't really want as plastic, like laundry baskets, buckets, big plastic containers.
Where do milk cartons wind up? Cardboard?
Cardboard, yes.
Snowville. Yum.
So this is all non-recyclable?
It is recyclable, and there is a market for it, but it's very, very low value. For many reasons, we don't really want it in this facility. You know, it comes through anyway, so we have to deal with it, but it's not an item we want.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I
The
mean, some of
Jackie O's lid plastic tops?
those are good. I mean, like I said, the system's not perfect. That
Okay,
should
so
have been
that
over
should have
there.
been over there. Okay.
But for the most part, I mean, it's mostly the stuff, these buckets and big items. Like I said, there is a market for them, but it's very low value.
And so that's going to wind up where?
We only get about 2 truckloads of this a year, and we ship it out to Minnesota.
Is it worth it?
It's a couple cents a pound. I think it's like 1.5 cents.
It's enough to pay the truck.
Basically, so it's basically break even. But we're not throwing it in the landfill either,
Right.
so we're not paying to get rid of it.
Whoa!
The margins get small.
Yeah.
But at this point, since this is a not-for-profit center, there's a lot more room for recycling something that is of low value. Whereas if this were a for-profit company, in a lot of other areas in the state and the country that the recycling centers are operated for profit, they wouldn't necessarily want that or accept it for recycling.
So we get a whole host of things. Like the 5 top things that we do not want in the recycling that we get are scrap metal. That tends to break down the machinery and get caught and tear up things. Textiles and clothing, styrofoam, medical waste, and electronic waste.
Medical waste.
So like things like needles and medical tubing. People think, well, it's plastic, it's recyclable. That's sort of wish recycling. That's what we call it. I wish it was recyclable, so I'm going to throw it in the bin.
I think my husband does more of that than I do.
Well, you can tell him. Well, I'll give you the list. You know, we stick to that. I mean, that's really what this facility is designed for. So, not that we don't pull off those materials and recycle them if we can, but it's really not proper to put it in there. So as this comes down the line, You can kind of see what's left. This is pretty representative. Steel cans and aluminum cans and little bits and pieces here and there. This is a big belt magnet that pulls off all the steel cans, picks them up, drops them off into the bin.
Cool.
As we go around the corner, there's what we call a trommel, which is a screener, and it helps separate the fines out, the aluminum cans, and any bigger plastic that's left over.
Do people wear gloves?
Yep, we wear gloves and safety glasses when we're operating. So there's what's called an eddy current. It's like a reverse magnet for non-ferrous metals. It helps expel the aluminum. It pushes it into one side or the other. You can see the aluminum cans on the right and all the other stuff on the left. Everything that gets caught on the left gets taken back and reprocessed through the system. As the can goes, there's a blower and it blows into a big bin over there. So as that fills up, we can make about 3 bales of aluminum.
A reverse magnet.
What's GMS stand for?
That's the manufacturer of some of the equipment. Green machines. As we're walking along this catwalk, we'll be above our central conveyor belt. All the material, depending on the bin and where it's coming from, can get down up. You see cardboard on the conveyor there behind us. That goes into a hydraulic baler, presses it into those cubes.
Oh, whoa.
This thing is doing what?
This is help sorting out all the fine material. The string is a different size as you go along.
Yeah.
So it lets the can shapes things through down to the eddy current. And then any of the bigger stuff comes through and gets back and reprocessed.
Do you ever clean it out?
About once a week.
Take the pink undies out?
Yes, all the stuff we don't want in there.
Oh.
The tanglers, hangers, chains, things like that. Hey, it's metal, it's recyclable, I'll throw it in there. No, it doesn't really help us out all the time. We had a ratchet strap, the metal part of a ratchet strap that someone put in there. It made it all the way through down to the eddy current and tore up the belt on the eddy current. Well, that cost us about $3,500 to get fixed. So, recycling right, recycling what's on the list is really important. You can see as these bins fill up, there's a gate at the bottom we can open up with a hoist, and we can let that material flow out onto the belt and bail out.
Oh, I see.
Down you can get a little bit better view of the hydraulic balers. We have 2 of them. So it's all computer controlled, so it knows we're baling cardboard, how much it should weigh, how much it should compact it, how many wires to wrap around it. Does that all automatically and spits it out, and we take it out with a forklift.
Are these actually bedrock rentals?
The one is a rental, the other one's ours. We had one broke down, so we had to get a rental. They get torn up a lot. They get used every day, 6 or 7 hours every day, 5 days a week, and 1 Saturday a month.
I want one.
Yeah, one of our machines I think has 11,000 hours on it now, so it's getting older. It's going to break down a lot. So yeah, there's more sorting stations. The paper comes down this line. After they pull out the cardboard and the white office paper, you can see the bins down below is the mixed paper. You look over the railing here. As these bins fill up, we can use the grapple bucket on the skid steer machine and load it onto the conveyor and bail them up.
Is that considered mixed?
Yeah, that's our mixed paper.
Okay.
You can see the difference. There's a lot more white in there versus newspapers, magazines, junk mail, all that in there together.
See. Okay. So I see a magazine that's still in like a plastic film. Problem? Or do they take it anyway?
Yeah, it is preferable if you can separate the material.
I'm going to put this Bobcat quote in your box.
For the repair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are these all the trash cans that come through?
Yeah, so we set these here to help pull off all the trash that comes down this line. So it's not a lot, but it builds up over time. So they can take it and put it on the conveyor down the chute, or if it's something that needs to go in the container line, they can put it down this chute and it'll send it back around. So everything's kind of interconnected. And all the cardboard from outside, they directly load right on the conveyor belt to get filled up, which is the most, by weight, it's about 55% of what we do, and by dollars wise, it's about 63% of our material sold.
All the fun ways to die in here.
It is some dangerous machinery. So if you notice, see that little red cord right there, down below the conveyor? So everywhere there's a sorting station, there's an emergency stop. So if anything ever went wrong, anybody at any position can stop the machinery. And keep that light on!
We've seen enough James Bond films. Which was
Got a little video if you want to see it. See if I can find it really quick. I think you'll like that.
Like the bottom just dumps out. This would be a fun place to work.
Summer job.
Yeah, we'll always take volunteers.
Is that a crane?
That is.
You should like hook that up something.
This is our used cooking oil collection truck. So a lot of things we use the lift gate. Sometimes we've got to use the crane. This is our Class 2 compost facility. What that means is the Class 2 is a designation from the EPA. It's about our food stocks, what we can take. So we can take food waste, animal waste, and yard waste. We're really focused on food waste. So this facility is really designed for people who don't have room in their backyard to compost, you know, in the middle of the city, or can, but it's against city code or city ordinance. So we collect from a lot of businesses and residences within the city of Athens. Then we have that collection at the farmers market as well, where you can bring your bucket in and bring your food waste in. So this is not your backyard compost, so it's an industrial compost process. So you see the steam coming off of there? It's like 160 degrees Fahrenheit inside that pile.
Really?
Yep, so that heat helps break down that organic material. So we bring the food waste in, we mix it with wood chips.
Cook someone.
Yeah, we'll cook it. It cooks all the microorganisms out of it.
Where are you getting your wood chips?
Tree companies doing work in the area. So we
free.
stockpile it out back. Cover it with food waste. That helps minimize the smell, pests and rodents and things like that coming in, animals. Keeps it nice and tidy and adds an increased organic matter to the mix. So this is an aerated basis, and we can walk back here a little farther to look at the different bins we have. So it takes a couple months to build up a big pile like this. We process about 200 tons a year. So as this comes in, we mix the food waste with it, and we get enough, we put it in the bin. So each bin a couple months, and it gets rotated out, and you can see the pile behind us. So this is ready to be screened, so we'll put it through the screener, and you can see behind us the finished product, what's left of that batch. That's what we sell as a soil amendment. So that's food collected locally. We sell it back out for people for their home vegetable gardens or whatever to grow more food. So really a closed loop, closed cycle. So a lot of places we collect, we're doing the trash and recycling anyway. So if they're separating it out and paying us to pick it up, we don't have to pay to get rid of it at the landfill, and we can get it recycled and reused into something else.
And are you at the market with the compost pails?
Yes.
That's usually you?
Yep.
So
No, not myself, but Travis, who does all the collection and processing here, he's at the market every Saturday.
Okay, cool.
So at Ohio University, I know they have like compostable like plates and stuff, and there's like a specific like compost like trash can. Like, do you guys put those plates and forks and everything into this stuff?
We do get some of those. You can see them laying there. The university does everything in-house. They have their own facility to process. The critical piece that's missing both for OU and this facility is a food grinder. So that would help shred that material, increase the surface area, makes it break down faster. The hardest thing are things like plates and stuff like that. The plant-based plastic cups that look clear, they look like petroleum-based plastic, but they're plant-based.
They take forever.
Those actually break down really well in our system.
They do.
It's the really thick sort of cardboard plates and cups and things like that that take a little bit longer, but eventually they're going to break down.
I do slow composting in our yard. You see those plates and forks, and
Yeah.
if I don't throw too many of them.
We get a lot of compostable bags, the green bags for a lot of people like to put those in their containers.
slow. Slowly.
Come on, do your stuff. The usual
Okay,
appendages
made its way around.
and extras.
We have Earth. Drive a shovel into the earth, wounding and airing my foundation. Worms may be sliced, grubs displayed, microscopic life there in the gap. I dig in with my fingers, damp and graininess there, sharp sand between fingers and silt under fingernails. Host to all non-aquatic life, the topmost layer smells of eternity, nurtured by life's refuse, a locus of transformation. Life is transformation, the habitat of energy changes. Dead birds and squirrels enrichen with the bones and ashes of all life's forms. Earth, welcome me. I will fit, I will belong. You will be my future, and I'll be part of yours.
Yeah. Well, I've always liked the idea of being left for birds who are like in the India on the
scaffolds.
Yeah. I'd rather be just tossed out in the woods than I think graveyards, burials, all the money of funerals is a bunch of hokum.
That's a great line, Earth, welcome me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then we have the style rejected. To be transformed, a crest on the top of my head, an arm with stripes and figures and all the basic colors, ears with manageable flaps. My eyes see all colors except that human spectrum called black. That doesn't fit if our future shall smile. Okay.
I don't know what your second form means.
Thank you, because I wanted to ask that question. I was feeling low down, dirty and mean, 'cause I'd been working deep inside the big machine. Tried to find some honest answers in the television box, but nobody there would listen. They just talk, 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 until one night, quite by accident, I found, while remotely flipping channels